Good morning, everyone. I'm Penelope Skuman, and today I'm so excited to announce a new series of workshops on Re-Enchantment. And here to discuss the details is intuitive soul coach and teacher Estelle Koch. With over 30 years experience in personal development, spiritual teaching and counseling, and also has a degree from the University of Metaphysics. Welcome, Estelle. It's lovely to have you here with us this morning.
Thank you, Penny. Lovely to be chatting to you once again. It's been a while.
It has been quite a while, so I'm excited to be in your presence. So, Estelle, tell me why re-enchantment and why now?
Right now, the world is going through some interesting challenges. In the last 2 years, many things have changed on the planet. And many people have lost hope and lost the vision for the future. And they have lost this because they have lost the magic. So the three things that people are looking for right now is hope. First and foremost, hope. And hope is to be found in a knowing and an experience of God in your life. Many people do not even begin to understand what the term God means. So through these workshops, we want to bring people back to the wonder that we experience when we live hand in hand with the God force and with spirit. The other thing that people really need is pastoral care. Now, most people understand that to be something which is religious, but it's really not. The true meaning of pastoral care is emotional, social, and spiritual support. And that is something that is required in all cultures and traditions. It's not linked to a specific religion, but it is what people need. People want to belong to a community. So they are looking for somewhere where they can find a sense of belonging and a sense of understanding. And that is what is required of those of us who are in the world teaching spiritual work and guiding people. And when we talk about spiritual work, we are talking about working with your own spiritual nature. All of that, when we embrace that, brings us back to the magic. Because at this point in time, we find that disenchantment is the thing that is driving most people, and unfortunately driving them down, driving them into a place of devaluation of everything that has kept them going, that has inspired them in the past. So when we look at it, what we really want is we want to reawaken the depths of soul that brings us to a place of enchantment. That is what the re-enchantment really means. Coming back to the magic, coming back to the absolute depths of soul that gives us hope and that gives us a view to the future.
So these workshops that you will be presenting, I presume they would be online in format?
The workshops, first of all, they're a series of workshops, and they will be covering all aspects of spiritual living and all aspects of self-development and self-discovery, really. Because many people have gone around not really knowing who they are and looking for more, looking for meaning. So we are bringing these workshops to people on a one-on-one level for those who wish to join us online, but we will also make it available as a complete course that they can download and do in their own time. So it will be offered in modules, and they can either download the actual modules or the course in its entirety, or they can join us online to go through it.
Oh, that sounds
as part of a group. And with each one of them, we will make a meditation available that they can download and keep to go through regularly.
And this will be for anybody, anywhere, in any kind of situation, whether they've dealt in or delved into the spiritual realm or have no idea whatsoever, but find themselves seeking for something more.
I have really made it the aim of this workshop to speak to everybody at every level. So yes, people who have no idea of this, who've never done any of this work, will be able to do the work from the ground up, fully understanding it, fully grasping the various concepts, because that is what we want to do at the outset, is to make these concepts clear. However, I need to say that a lot of the work that I will be doing is channeled work, coming directly from the guides, and I have found that many of the people that I work with who are very much involved in the spiritual work are also finding new information that is relevant to this time, that is helping them grow even more. So absolutely all levels of people will find something of value and something which will help them to grow both personally and spiritually.
So you're saying that it's a series of workshops, of course encompassing re-enchantment as a main theme.
Right.
To start off with, your first workshop is starting shortly in terms of the first phase of the series, or first section of the series. And if we can touch on that, I have seen that you will touch on the nature of God, spiritual gifts and assistance, the universal laws, human energy systems and the effect on our bodies, minds and spirit, and the magic of mysticism. So of course when people look at the nature of God, usually when we speak about God, people always go straight to religion, or the majority of people go straight to religion. And does this involve religion? How would you summarize the nature of God in a few sentences?
Right. What you have just listed there were the various workshops.
Oh, all
so
right.
The nature of God is the first workshop. That would include what is the soul all about? Because people talk about body, mind and soul. Everybody goes around talking about body, mind and soul, or body, mind and spirit, not understanding that spirit and soul is not exactly the same thing. So I very often will describe spirit as being the electricity in a house, the power in the house. That power is absolutely everything. It's there. It is present all the time, but it's only going to be used when you flip the switch. So spirit is what represents the God force, the love and the light of the God force. The God force is universal and it is unquestionable no matter how you look at it. Does it encompass religion? It does if you choose to practice spirituality through a religion, because that is the basis. It's the basis of all our living. It's the basis of every religion, and it's also the basis of breathing every single day. So do you need to go through religion, or is it necessarily religious? Absolutely not. In fact, we've come to a time where the real importance of spiritual living is your relationship with God one-on-one. No longer necessarily through ministers or gods and goddesses or anything like that. Right now, the only thing that is really going to heal people, give them hope for the future, is a one-on-one personal relationship with the God force. But in order to have that, we need to understand what the God force is. We need to understand how it is a part of our life, because it is. We just don't know it. And through enchantment, through getting to be in the moment and seeing the wonder of your body as it functions, or the wonder of the flowers, the beauty of a flower or a bird or anything, even an aeroplane in the sky. It's all magic. It's all so incredible. But we are so focused on the negative and the things that are happening to us that we cannot cope with, that we're not seeing the magic and we're not seeing the God force in everything. So we need to understand that God is not a man on a mountain. We need to understand that God is an energy, and how we choose to resonate with that energy determines our quality of life. So the first workshop is extremely important, because there we speak about what is it? How can I go about resonating with this? How can I understand that that is not a religious term with all its laws and all its rules and everything, but getting to know God intimately.
Almost as on a one-on-one.
On a one-on-one basis. And we will look at how the angels will assist us in this, how the guides assist us in this. So we will explain how they fit in. A lot of people are talking about dragons. Some talk about them as negative. Some speak of them as being very positive. Our experience of the dragons is that they are of a very, very high spiritual frequency, and also very much coming up in the world now to assist us to go through the changes that the earth is going through. Because many of the changes that's taking place at the moment are changes that is directly as a result of the earth balancing itself. And then the other thing is that we are completely controlled by forces outside of ourselves. And these forces are political, and they are in our countries, and they are worldwide. So they're not just connected to one aspect. And we need to understand how all of this going on outside of us, how can we as an individual stay grounded and focused and live a life of enchantment
and of gratitude.
And of gratitude. Well, gratitude lies at the core of all of this.
Yeah.
But unless we appreciate it for what it is, we cannot be grateful.
Very true. Very true. In one of your series here, you talk about the human energy system, and of course, people that have dealt within the spiritual realm are quite au fait with the chakra system. But I see here that you're going to talk about the rays of light, the roles of diet, and sex in metaphysics. And you know what, when people talk about sex, it's always a no, we're not going there kind of discussion. But things are changing, and it is something that we need to start looking at, not only for ourselves, but our relationships with our partners. How would you say, or describe this, where you say the roles of diets and sex in metaphysics?
That is quite an interesting one, because as you say, people very often will frown at that. But if we think about it, sexuality is where life starts. But it is also the most intimate thing that happens in a person's life. So at the moment, we are so removed from one another. But our food determines who we are. So we have to start looking at how is my food affecting the frequency of my body. Now, by the time we get to the human energy systems, we are really talking about frequencies, although we will be talking about frequencies throughout. because it's the various frequencies in our lives that affect us. So the more in tune we become with ourselves and living spiritually, the more in tune we become with frequencies. Now, when we think of sexuality, some people will look at, and there's major, major issues around that at the moment because of the whole thing of child sex and child abuse and all of that is going on. And the absolute abundance, I want to call it, of pornography that is available, and how people are just getting lost in that. Whereas sexuality is something that is really very, very sacred. And it is the most sacred thing that can exist between two people. So sexuality can also, when you are involved in the spirituality and you are involving your spirituality in the realm of sexuality and vice versa, you could get to know yourself so much better. You become more aware of your body, of functioning, and attuned to various energies. So the more attuned you become with your body through your sexuality, the more sensual your living will become. And you will be able to walk into a place and sense the energies between different people. Not at all sexual, but awakened. That knowingness will be awakened by your sexuality. Also, what will happen is you will find yourself in a place where you will understand how sacred creation is. And you will start to develop relationships, specifically if you are practicing sacred sexuality between you and a partner. It brings so much depth into that relationship. Intimacy, we always say, means intimacy. So the more comfortable and open you are in your sexual relationships, the more the bond between partners will open up. But also, if you are in a healthy sexual relationship in your mind with yourself, you will become a lot more caring and a lot more compassionate towards yourself.
Which is needed at this specific time in our lives.
Absolutely.
And in the world.
Right now, so many people are walking around with fear, with guilt, all kinds of negative emotions. Whereas getting into a place of compassion, of love for yourself is one of the most important things. And I have been given by my guides over and over the assurance that the sexual relationships that we have are one of the most important things for creating and fostering love, understanding, compassion, and just light.
Wow. Now, I think that's going to be huge, and I think that's going to open up a lot of minds outside, including my own, I'm sure.
Well, you know, we've been told, and I choose to absolutely resonate with this, that the world that we are going to be living in will be of a much higher frequency. We will be living in a world that is underpinned by love, by caring, by joy, by happiness. And all of that is a high frequency. And that is something that we could get used to at this point. This is like becoming more sexual in sacred sexuality in our thinking. The more prepared we will be for living a higher life, a life of higher frequency. Because when you are in a sacred sexual situation, you are free, your energy is much higher, your frequency.
And your sensitivity.
Well, that is one of the main things, is the sensitivity, yes.
Wow. Yeah, because we are in times where we are now moving from the third dimension into the fifth dimension, and a lot of people are moving there a lot quicker than others are, depending on their circumstances and the choices that they make.
Well, this is exactly the thing, and the more we align with a higher frequency and higher living, a living of more compassion, a living of more groundedness, but more connection to the earth, to one another, and to wanting to move closer to the Christ energy, the higher our frequencies become. And that is going to be something that is going to be, when I'm told that our frequencies are going to become that much higher, then I can look around at the people around me, and the people who are truly, truly aspiring to living in and with the fifth dimensional energy. They are the ones who are already showing this care, the absolute desire to live with the Christed energy in their lives and to display it, to share it with others.
And once again, it just comes back to the core of your relationship with God. I can see how everything just goes back to that core.
Absolutely.
Core. Wow. You talk about the universal laws as well in your third section, or your third part of the series. And we've heard of, through the book The Secret, etc., they talk about universal laws, and they just touch on it a little bit. For those that don't understand, just in a broad term, what is a universal law? How would you describe it?
The universal laws are literally something that exists. It's always been there, and when we start living and we understand these, they just change the way we think about things. It's there, it exists without us doing anything. It is a part of creation. But the more we understand it, the more intent we can bring to everything we do. And we can also understand why things happen the way they do. So we look at the laws of divine oneness is one of them. And that is understanding that I am not an individual. I am a part of the whole. It's an understanding that whatever I do, I bring to the whole. But it's also an understanding that whatever the whole decides affects me. I am not an individual. I am not on my own. And who and what I am has a profound influence on everything around me. But so everything around me has a profound influence on me. And that is why it is so important to know who I am, and understanding how I can be myself through my relationship with Spirit, in spite of what the whole is doing. Some of the other laws are the law of vibration, is the law of vibration, where that which my frequency, or the rate at which I vibrate, will draw to me the same kind of people, the same kind of circumstances. So the law of vibration says, wherever you are vibrating at, that is what you're going to attract to yourself. In other words, if you are tuned into a specific radio station, you are going to be resonating with all the people who are tuned into that radio station. That is the information you're going to hear about. That is the music you're going to be listening to. So your vibration determines the level of your life. The more you choose to live spiritually and lift your vibration, the more in tune you will be with that which is for your highest good. Another one of the laws that I can maybe just tell you that's going to be coming into this will be the law of cause and effect, that we understand whatever it is I sow, I will reap.
Like karma.
Absolutely like karma. What I put into the world is going to come back to me. And that is why in the 10 Commandments, as it is given in by Levi, right at the start, it was never said, thou will not or thou may not. It says, thou shall not. And that means I know that if I put this out into the world, it is going to come back to me. Whereas if I live hand in hand by spirit, I know that I'm not going to put that in the world because I don't want it for myself. God is not going to punish me for anything I put out there. I'm doing a sterling job of doing it to myself.
100%. And don't we all do that? So?
We all do that. So yes, those are some of the laws. We have the law of attraction. We have the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, the law of relativity. There are all these laws, the law of rhythm. And if we can get used to the idea of the law of rhythm, then we will know that it's not global warming that is taking place. And if it is global warming, it's got nothing to do with us. It's all a part of nature going through her rhythms.
Cycles and rhythms.
It's cycles and rhythms, and the earth is currently doing everything she needs to do to rebalance and heal herself.
Wow. And that's huge in itself. With all of the natural disasters taking place as
Absolutely.
it is, and you can see it more prevalent these days than ever before. So that's very interesting. I can't wait for that segment. You've got the magic of mysticism, healing and esoteric tools, understanding and working with various energies, so dragons, fairies, animals, spirits. A lot of people always go, oh, animal spirits. I wonder what my animal spirit is. Is it something that you dream about? Is it something that you just have an affinity to? How would you, if someone says, oh, Estelle, what is my animal spirit? Is it something that they've created themselves? Is it something from a higher realm?
Animal spirits are with us all the time. And once again, it's quite interesting when you live in certain countries where you have specific animals that are not in other countries, and most of the material available to us is from America. So all the animals in there are like airy-fairy animals to many of us because they don't necessarily come from your own country. So that begs the question, are we making this up based on where we are living, or where does it come from? And in spirit world, where our souls exist, there is no such thing as America or South Africa.
No continental boundaries.
No continental boundaries. And many of us have animal spirits which have come through with us through many lifetimes. Now, the animal spirits also carry specific characteristics. You take myself, one of my most important spirit guides or animals is the wolf. And the wolf is a teacher. It's a pack animal, but it's also a teacher. It's one of its strongest qualities. And I have been a teacher in many lifetimes. So even in this lifetime, it is still what I'm looking at. And the wolf teaches us to teach within your tribe. So I'm not the kind of person who is going to go out and try and convince people to become something that they are not.
You're not going to stand on the corner with a placard.
Not this lifetime. Definitely not. But I am going to be available and make the knowledge available to those who seek it. And that would be how that would influence me. So we often, when an animal shows itself to us, either in nature or in dreams or even in the work that we read, in fiction or anything like that, we can always go and look at the qualities that animal brings. Now, there are two ways that animals show up. The one is like mine, which is a totem animal, where my wolf is a totem. There's always other animals that influence you and will come into your life at a specific time. If I move a little bit away from my spiritual work and I get caught up in other stuff, or I worry about something and I don't just go make the time to become quiet, I will all of a sudden find praying mantises all over the place. And then I know this is a call to get back to spirit. I also know that for me, an owl is always a sign of movement. Something is changing and there's movement. Living on a farm, we have owls around us all the time. But recently going into town, we had an owl come right in front of our window. It was so close that I was worried we were going to actually hit it.
Wow.
And when something like that happens, when you either see it more than once or it really forces you to look at it, then you can go and have a look and say, okay, what is the message? Now, I know exactly from experience what an owl would mean to me, and immediately I was able to go there and say, okay, something new coming, time to open up your heart to receive that. So we are firstly aligned to them through our characteristics and the characteristics that they bring, and we can look at them for that reason, specifically with our totems, which can come with us from previous lifetimes or current. And then also when an animal or even an insect in nature spirits show up more than once in a specific time, then go and have a look because there's a special message there.
Well, we have a bee visiting us at the moment, buzzing around. I'm not sure if our listeners would be able to hear him or her, or so it's probably a him. It's definitely a him. But yeah, so today the bees are here with us.
They're always in my office and they mean hard work.
Oh, well, we're ready for that, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Then on the second section, you talk about spiritual gifts and assistance, angels, guides, departed loved ones, Arcturians, and a lot of people don't know what Arcturians are.
We are finding at the moment that there's quite a bit of assistance for us on the earth plane on a galactic level. So on a galactic level, we have beings from Arcturus, we have beings from Pleiades, various star systems, and these energies bring energy towards us. They bring us teachings, they're helping us understand things, they're introducing new ways of healing to us. So they all bring different energies, and we can learn so much from them. But it's a very high frequency energy. They are not at all emotional. They operate from a place of absolute love. So there's no games being played, there's no negative energies or anything. They don't even understand that. So they come in and they just bring us knowledge, understanding and support from higher levels. Another group that we are finding a lot at the moment showing up is known as the Council of Light. Now the Council of Light is made up of members of all these galactic energies. So they are different people or different beings, let me call them beings, different beings from various star systems, all acting together as the Council of Light. And I have found that they will come in and give information. It's as though they have sub-councils. So you'll have one that will deal with animals, or you'll have one that will deal with healing, or whatever it may be. They bring profound information, and they teach or bring and gift us with meditations, with ways of healing the heart, ways of connecting with spirit, a lot of teachings that we can just learn and grow from. So the purpose of this workshop is to explain to people, to help them understand the various groups and how to interact and work with them. Because we also need to get away from working with gurus. Many people hold on to spiritual teachers as being their gurus, and that is very dangerous. Because I was told many years ago that the word guru actually means, gee, you are you. And that is because people get put on pedestals, and then when they show up as being human and making mistakes, they get judged for it. Whilst just means that they're not living up to individual people's expectations of them. So no, we don't want gurus. We want each person to become their own guru. And for that reason, the purpose of all of these workshops and the whole range, the Re-Enchantment group of workshops, is to bring each person to as evolved and as informed as I possibly can bring to them about all aspects of spiritual living, in order to gain the personal strength and the ability to stand on their own one-on-one, as I said before, with spirit. And that starts with knowing that you carry spirit within you. And therefore your relationship with yourself is the most important. And all of the rest will flow from that.
That is very profound. Estelle, all I can say is thank you so much for your time. I am so looking forward to this series of workshops that you will be bringing to us. If people need to get into contact with Estelle, you can contact her on the email address soulcoach@estellekoch.com. But we will, or the website, www.estellekoch.com. Estelle, thank you once again. As usual, this has been very informative. I've learned a lot. I'm sure our listeners have learned a lot. And we look forward to seeing what you have to offer in these workshops.
Thank you so much. I look forward to bringing it to you.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful and a blessed day, everybody. Looking forward to chatting to you soon.
Thank you again, and be blessed.